Hello, it's Enestor, and I'm here with another Wi-Fi battle against my good buddy PokeNuzlockeHD. If you don't know him, check him out in the description below. He makes some great content. And before we go anywhere, make sure to hit that like button. It really does mean a lot when you guys actually hit it, and it brings a smile to my heart. And before we hop into the battle, I'm just going to describe a little bit of this team. I got, my standard Gonzalez with its choice specs. Then the Toxic Rook, which I haven't brought back in a really long time. I miss him, so I decided to bring Brockcheck back. Then I have my P2, the stalliest thing I've ever seen in my life. Brings nightmares to whoever it wants. And then we got the True Prophet, who I'm still looking for a kill. That's the only reason why I brought him. Then we got the newly non-OU Alakazam. And this was actually a anything but under OU. So he was bringing BL and below. So that's the biggest reason why you don't see actual TTRCs or all that, the usual pokes that I usually bring. So, and then I got Slowbro for my physical wall. So let's just hop right into this battle real quick. Okay, so Chris is issuing a challenge. He's gonna start off with that stupid Thunderous. I cannot believe he decided to lead off with it, and I decided to lead it with my Gonzalez, thinking that I can get a free Volt Switch against any of his pokes, but unfortunately he is bringing the Volt Absorb Thunderous, so I am not able to do that, and he freaking gets a Focus Blast, which surprisingly doesn't kill me because I don't have any HP investment in this thing. And because I don't want my my Porygon 2 to take another Focus Blast from this thing, he decides to go. I decided to bring in Speed Demon to take the Focus Blast, but he goes for the HP. I don't even know. I think it might be an HP Ice just to make sure I don't get destroyed. But I decided to bring in Duckalepsy, predicting a Volt Switch or a Thunderbolt. So I do trace the Volt Absorb to stop him right in his tracks, and he unfortunately misses the what's it called, the Focus Blast. So I was able to get a Toxic off. I'm assuming that it would have done a lot of damage, and I was sort of assuming he would just Hard Switch, but you know what? He keeps missing these Focus Blasts. I think I went for Recover predicting that, and he avoids the Focus Blast again. I was like, you know what? Let's try to get some damage on this thing, and it does a lot of damage against this Thunderous. So it sort of tells me it's just, I didn't know how frail Thunderous is, and that huge threat is now off the field. So he decides to bring in his Beakington, his Staraptor, barely under OU, and because I don't want to take in close combat, I switch out to Speed Demon to take this incoming close combat. And this really surprises me, but after all this special defense and defense drops, he has Life Orb, and I really thought he'd be Choice Banded or Choice Scarf because those are very common. And to have two Life Orbers really threw me off guard, so I didn't really know what to do. I knew that he'd switch out or U-turn because he's not Choice at all, and I didn't want anything else to take it, so I decided to stay in, go for a T-Wave because nothing appreciates being T-Waved because you know what, why not? And I'm going to get a little bit of the leftover recovery, and I do believe I do decide to switch out into my Flareon to try to get some Flame Charges, and it's a nice wall to this, what's it called, this, is it Jirachi? I can't remember what it's called, I don't know. So I decided to go for some Flame Charges as he brings in his Elsa the Misdreavus, which is, I don't know, I'm not super fond of this Misdreavus because, you know what, I don't know, it's wallish as hell because these are freaking adamant max attack Flareon hits that should be doing a lot more damage, but it's not doing anything, and I'm at +3, and he decides to go for the Pain Split, which was sort of obvious. That's probably the biggest reason why I was only going for Flame Charges, because I don't want him to take too much HP off me, because I didn't think a Flare Blitz can kill from these ranges, and these Shadow Balls are doing nothing. That's the power of Assault Vest Flareon, you guys. So I'm going to be able to get one last Flame Charge as he goes for a Shadow Ball. I do believe that I do take this pretty well, and I decide to go for the Flare Blitz because I didn't think that a Flame Charge would kill from this range, and I was like, yes, Flareon, you finally got that kill I always wanted. So Flareon's in this really bad position where he can't switch out, and Chris decides to bring in the Beakington. Here I thought that he'd go for the Quick Attack to make sure I don't get a Flare Blitz, but he decides to under predict it, and he goes for the straight close combat. If I knew that, I would have gone for Flare Blitz, and gotten a lot more damage against this thing. And because I know this Beakington is sort of really down on its HP, I decided to go for a nice Scald, and I didn't really think that he'd have Roost on this thing, but thankfully, I don't know, I didn't go for the Ice Beam because that means it would have been a lot less damage. And he decides to go for the U-turn. Once again, he's going to get a crit this time. He's going to do a lot more damage. He's going to die a little bit more from that life orb. He's going to switch out into his Jirachi, I believe. Yes, he does. This thing is going to take up this skull because I'm pretty sure based on all that damage, it essentially is specially defensive. And I know that now that since my Flareon is out for the count, I'm going to need this... my Toxicroak to come in safely for somehow. So I decided to slack off, hoping that I can get some turns to myself, and he goes for the body slam and gets the first turn paralyzation, which was I'm not too fond of, but whatever, I'll deal with it, whatever. And I think this turn he decides to go for a wish for some odd reason, because I think it may or may not have been trying to pass this on to something else. I don't think anything else really could appreciate it. So I go for the skull. That does a lot of damage with a critical hit. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can do something. Here he's probably going to protect, so I decide to switch out into my Toxicroak to get, because he's essentially the only thing that can do anything to this Jirachi since it is especially defensive. But Chris decides not to go for the protect and goes for the Iron Head, and it's going to do a lot of damage to my Brocktrek, which is super unfortunate because I needed this thing for a good amount of health. And here I sort of thought that he might go for the body slam or something, so I wanted to check it out before anything, so I decided to hide behind my substitute, but he gets paralyzed, so now I have a free substitute and I'm chilling back here. So he decides to switch right out into his Beakington, and I decide to go for the Sucker Punch, sort of predicting like a body slam or Iron Head to get any kind of damage against me. But he predicts that pretty nicely. He's going to go for the Roost. Here, I'm not exactly sure why. He might have thought that I was going to go for the Sucker Punch, but here I knew I could live one Brave Bird or whatever move he wanted. So I was automatically on default to go for the Brick Break. I know, I think Brick Break should be replaced for something else. But whatever, this is like Kalos bread. That's the only reason why I refuse to change it. So he just decides to bring in the Drapion. And here I didn't really think much of it as he goes for the knockoff. And I didn't want anything else to lose its item. And I wanted the rest of my pokes to have as much health as possible to take on the rest of his pokes. So I decided to leave my Toxicroak in to die because you know what, Toxicroak did his job, got a lot of damage, killed the Staraptor, Terrakion, hello. And yeah, so here I finally realized that the Drapion is choice scarfed by the fact that he did outspeed me. Thankfully, Alakazam does have the Focus Sash, so he was able to take one hit and dish out a good chunk of damage. So he sends in the Jirachi knowing very well that he can take one Shadow Ball because he is super especially defensive and kills me with the Iron Head. Personally, I would have gone for the Body Slam just to make sure it actually hits. Actually, I don't know if Iron Head is perfect accuracy. I'm not sure. I'm pretty stupid with this thing. So I send in Gonzalez knowing that he only has 2 Pokemon left. I just had to go for the Shadow Ball because I think that this Jirachi can't be dealt with my last 2 pokes, with being the P2 and the Slowbro. So here's his last poke, the Hydreigon, and because I know that essentially P2 can deal with this thing relatively nicely, I decided to leave my Jolteon in to die. I know it's not good practice, but whatever, gotta get the win somehow. So Duckalepsy is gonna come in, gonna trace a Levitate. It's useless because this thing is choice specs, and I was in a call during this time. And he was like, this thing is choice specs, and I decided to go for the Ice Beam. I told him my last 2 pokes and he knew. That's why he decided to stick to, what's it called, Dark Pulse. But I am able to take 2 Dark Pulses, thankfully. That's the bulk of P2. Duckalepsy is able to take its soul. We're going to get that nice 2-0 victory. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to head to PokeNuzlockeHD's channel. And this has been Enestor, and I will see you guys later.
Go after David. I'm the only one. I'm the only one
for the Alakazam.
Why?
David, you fucking suck.
Not bad, David.
Look at this. I was going after Dragonite, and you bitch ass niggas just fucking protected.
I told him, like, David's going to pop it.
I cannot trust you guys again.